Hello everyone and welcome to today's video. Today's video was going to be quite different and I was halfway through when I took a bathroom break and saw the Royal Grift's post on the TMZ documentary No BS Harry and Meghan. Now before I give my commentary, I really want to give a shout out to the Royal Grift who risked so much posting the documentary knowing that it could get her a strike. This is integrity. She knew that many of us in other countries can most likely not see it, and she felt it important enough to make us and the royal family aware of it. So she put her integrity before her own needs and wants, and for that I admire her, and she can be assured of my support henceforth. I must be honest, it was a hard thing to watch, and I watched it in 2 and 3 minute increments while Dragon Man was writing his mathematics paper, and just as well, because otherwise I don't think I would have made it through. I had a truly hard time to wrap my head around this discussion, again feeling like I'm living in an alternate universe. I'm being honest with you, watching this documentary makes me feel like everything I have read and heard and seen had been a dream, a nightmare, really. So let's discuss this TMZ documentary and take it step by step. And I'm going to really try and be as open and as honest and as unemotional as I can be. The introduction will have most of us who had been following the saga spit up in our mouths a little, mainly because it brings up the elephant in the room, racism. To even attempt to show that racism played a role in Harry and Meghan's relationship right from the beginning is utter BS. I want to bring this to you from a different perspective. According to the rest of the world, but mainly Europe, South Africa is one of the most racist countries in the world. Firstly, I promise you, most of the people who take any interest in the royal family in my country did not know that Meghan was mixed race until the day her mother appeared at the wedding. On the other hand, the very tiny portion, the true die-hard royal followers who did know beforehand, did not care. As a matter of fact, it was exciting. An American actress, divorced, and 3 years older than Harry was the kind of stuff that made the world grab their popcorn. Nobody cared or paid attention to the fact that she was biracial. It was not even a blimp on the radar. There was a time when I subscribed to the Express, the Daily Mail. We get the Times locally. We have our own U or Huisgenoot. We do get People and Hello magazines here. And I'm 100% honest saying that until Meghan Markle herself brought up the topic of racism, I have not once seen a racist article or headline from local or British publications. Not once. So, right off the bat, the introduction to this documentary and discussion is factually incorrect and very, very slanderous to the British nation, to the British press, and the entire Commonwealth, every country, and every citizen of every Commonwealth country. The first minute or so where the group is talking about Harry prior to Meghan, I must say that I 99% agree with the group. No, I don't mean Harry is right or Harry is 100% normal, but the group is 99% right. I believe Harry, from his early teenage years, particularly after the death of his mother, did not want to be royal. And why do I believe this? Because he said so. And he said so way before he met Meghan. I have my opinion as to why he did not want to be royal. but that is a video all on its own. But in short, I think Harry had this romanticized idea of what it was like to be just an ordinary bloke. And I think the fact that he knew he would always be of lower rank than his brother was indeed another factor. I do not think that in reality his mother or the treatment of his mother played a large role in him not wanting to be royal, but it became a convenient excuse, something he could pull out of the air and cling to at will. They play the clip of him talking about the death of his mother. I'm sure it was a shock. Anybody would be in shock. The nation was in shock. Anybody and everybody who heard the news that day was in shock, whether you loved or hated Diana. So it would be natural and normal for his sons to be in utter and stupefying shock. I can even understand how a 12-year-old Harry must have felt having to appear in public. Forget about not being able to cry. If it was me, I would not have known what to do with my face, or my hands, or any part of my body. I would likely have vomited in public. However, what I could never understand, and which I think indicates Harry's deeply rooted anger and jealousy, is his reaction to the crowd after so many years. How he was angry that they could cry and show emotion when it was his mother and he knew her better. In a normal person, and with most of us, we would have been honored and would have appreciated the outpouring of love, respect, and sympathy. But not Harry. He was angry and jealous, and he wanted to be the one to cry and cover himself in ash. He wanted to be the one who cried the most and mourned her the most. The panel then talks about Harry's substance abuse problems and partying, and actually say that he was made out to be a horrible person for doing it. No, no. On the contrary, to this day, the world media is still talking and missing the fun Harry, the down-to-earth Harry, the naughty Harry, the relatable Harry. However, were there concerns? Of course there were, because we all cared about Harry. Nobody wanted to see him turn into a down-and-out drunk. Nobody wanted Diana's son turning into a young man with track marks on his arms. As a parent, it was Charles's duty to do what he could to prevent it from going too far, just like any decent parent would. And in a way, we were all Harry's parents. But no one ever said he was a horrible person for being a mischievous rebel prince. And to this day, one needs to only listen to the British and Australian media to hear how loved he was and how everyone actually laughed and enjoyed his antics. I found the panel very ill-informed and very biased when it came to William. It is well documented that William and Harry got into scrapes together. And yes, I guess, or I know that at times William's antics were better covered up than Harry's. But we need to look at it from a parental perspective, or almost from a parental perspective. When you have two children and both of them get caught on the occasion drinking or smoking or doing stupid things, but the one still gets good marks at school, still has normal, balanced relationships with family and friends. But the other one struggles at school, tends to sulk and withdraw, and has angry outbursts and tantrums. Who would you be harder on? Who would you pay most attention to? And who would you be stricter with? I do not think there was much resentment from Harry towards William in that regard, because the 2-year age gap between them actually limited the time they spent together as these naughty teens, and their trajectory took different directions within 2 years after the death of their mother. The two young men also appeared to get along fine until shortly after Meghan joined them. I, however, also agree with the panel that the happiest and healthiest Harry ever appeared to be was in Africa. And seeing that clip where he actually says that if he wasn't a Windsor, he would have spent all his time in Africa working in a humanitarian and safari wildlife environment. And I believe him. Working in and with nature always sounds so great, so romantic, but it is hard. It is uplifting one day and sad the next. And the physical aspect of it takes a lot of willpower and dedication. The dirt, the heat, or even the cold, the smells are quite different from that experienced by a tourist being driven around on the back of a vehicle. I experienced it with my maternal grandfather, Chad Stapelbach, who worked at a nature reserve in Sabi. One day, nature plays along and everything is beautiful, and the next day, it is chaos and havoc. A rotting carcass which has to be removed because poachers left the carcass of a rhino to rot in the sun after they removed the horn. Finding a baby elephant wandering after the mother had been killed, making arrangements with veterinarians, transport, and a crew to catch and transport this little one to a facility where he can be taken care of, and not always with a desired outcome. Going through droughts when big tankers of water has to be transported into the bush before dawn and sometimes again at dusk. It is something that has to be in your blood, even if you are not boots on the ground 24/7. It is often a lifestyle and hardly ever a hobby. So if it got into Harry's blood, it is also something he would never get over or get rid of. And it is because I know and understand that I'm personally so sad for what and where he is now. The man Harry turned out to be is not the boy or the man he was, and so far removed from where even he thought he would end up. And that is indeed sad. And what is going to happen to Harry when he wakes up at 60 or 70 and realizes that regardless of his bank account, he has never lived the life he dreamed of? I agree with the panel that Harry loved to serve. I agree because I think serving, doing good, helping, and particularly getting the appreciation from those he served made him feel good about himself. I also agree with the panel that as much as Harry rebelled against the monarchy, he certainly never detested the benefits, the money, and the privilege. So far, so good. But then, just like in real life, the panel introduces Meghan into the discussion, and that is where it all falls apart, just like it happened in real life. The first thing the panel brings up is Meghan's story about the ivory dishwashing liquid advertisement and how it changed her life and trajectory. It is very clear that the entire panel did not do their homework. Otherwise, they would have known that 1, it was a class project, 2, that Mr. Markle had said in a number of interviews that he helped her with the letter, and 3, that he exaggerated the response to the letter to Meghan to make her feel good. Mr. Markle had repeated this in the media and in Tom Bauer's book, and not once has he wavered on his version of the story. The same goes for when the panel tries to portray Meghan as this poor girl from a working class family who worked at a yogurt shop. No, she didn't. Her parents made it clear that she didn't have to work, and her father in particular said that he would not have allowed it while she was at school. And besides, if she did work at a yogurt shop at 13, both her parents and shop owner would have committed an illegal act under the child labor laws of the United States. When it comes to how the panel describes Meghan and how she did or did not align with the royal family, but she did align with Harry, you may be surprised to learn that I agree with the panel. The person Meghan pretended to be, the person she showed the press and the public, did align with what Harry thought he needed. Remember, she peed in the bush in Botswana. She had an education. She was somewhat successful in her own right. And the things which did not traditionally align with the royal family, the divorce and being an actress, spoke to Harry's rebellious side. So yes, had this all been real, had she been honest and really down to earth, it would have been a true match made in heaven. Then the first time in the discussion, I really got annoyed is when the panel decides that Meghan is like Harry's mom, Diana. Kinda. No, not kinda. Not at all. I know that Meghan played on that aspect of Harry's psyche, but in reality, any person of average intelligence with a fair and unbiased point of view cannot and will never see or find any similarities between Meghan Markle and Princess Diana, no matter how hard Meghan tries to establish a link by copying Diana's clothing or perfume or anything else. It just does not work and never will, because from the day Diana was born and the day Meghan was born, the difference in environment, family, values, education are so vast that if it wasn't for air travel, those two worlds would never have come together. Diana was British to the core, born, bred, with a family ingrained in British history. Diana's nieces and nephews being the 19th generation to enjoy the family estate. That is longer than many nations are old. Diana, at 19, when she got engaged to Charles, was a naive 19-year-old who still played pranks on her friends, who have not had a serious relationship before. Meghan, on the other hand, was a streetwise woman of the world who had numerous serious and not so serious long-term and short-term relationships, who had been married and divorced at least once when she started dating Harry. How on earth any clear-thinking human can even start to draw parallels between Meghan and Diana is absolutely beyond me. At least the panel agreed that it was ridiculous and sounded really disingenuous when she said she never Googled Harry. Thank God for that. At least I found something to show that I'm not completely living in an upside down world. The next thing, which really got my blood pressure rising a notch, was when the panel talked about William's caution to Harry to take his time with that girl. According to the panel, that was offensive. And according to the panel, it was offensive to Harry, as it meant that William did not take the relationship seriously. Now, I do not know whether it is my upbringing or my command of the English language, but I fail to understand how anyone or any female can find the term girl offensive. In South Africa, and I know in the United States and many other English speaking countries, we often refer to someone's girlfriend or even wife as so and so's girl, Jack's girl, Joe's girl, regardless of whether they are 16 or 60. So, not alone is it often a compliment, particularly if the girl is older. But it also means that we are recognizing the relationship. As an older female, I would also speak to my daughter and refer to that girl who works with you when I can't remember a person's name instantly. And then that girl may be 30, 35, or even 40. It is not meant in a derogatory way in any shape or form. Also, William was being protective of his brother and practical as he knew what lay ahead for Harry and Meghan. And even in normal, average families, we as parents, brothers or sisters, would caution our family members to consider a serious relationship carefully before entering into a marriage. Not because we necessarily dislike the potential partner, but because we want the best for both of them, because we want their marriage to work and we want them to be as happy and satisfied as they can be. Then they again talk about Meghan being attacked by the British press. I'm obviously not going to come out and deny that there were no skewed or snarky remarks in some publications, simply because I don't know. I don't live in Britain and do not have access to each and every local newspaper or fringe press publication. But I am pretty familiar with the main newspapers, magazines, and even some rag mags, and I'm yet to see one of those attacking Meghan. At least not until months and months after the wedding, and things started to turn sour between them and staff and them and the royal family. I think the panel is being unfair and extremely biased in this instance. And again, I think they did not research these statements and opinions. They have taken one headline stating straight out of Compton and applied that one headline to all the British press. Then they make an issue about how Meghan had to shut down her life in America, quit Suits, close her blog The Tig, and so on. Again, this is not factually correct. Meghan's role on Suits was coming to an end anyway. The series was slowly coming to an end itself. What they are also not mentioning is that Meghan had a choice. It is well documented that the Queen herself and Charles had discussed this with Meghan and that they offered her the option to continue her career as an actress, but that it was Meghan's choice to, in her own words, become an active member of the team and to hit the ground running. It was the Queen herself who encouraged Meghan to make use of her background and experience when she passed the patronage of the National Theatre onto Meghan. The TIG was, of course, a different matter, as a member of the royal family cannot accept freebies and cannot do endorsements and receive payment for it. I found that once the panel got going with their more ridiculous imaginings, they started to enjoy their own fantasy a little too much. For instance, meeting the Queen, and how the press would have ripped Meghan apart had she screwed up her curtsy when meeting the Queen. Not once do these adult people stop to think, how would the press have known had she screwed up her curtsy? Who was going to tell the press? Not the Queen. So the only way the press could have known was if one of the three people present told the press. So if not the Queen, then who? Harry or Meghan? And from there on, it gets totally ridiculous. How the royals can't open their own car doors themselves, yakety yakety yak. Well, no, they do. It is just on these official royal visits that someone is at hand, a security detail or bodyguard or chauffeur, when that actually happens. We have seen so many other royals on sneak photographs or videos driving themselves at Balmoral or at Sandringham on holiday and quite deftly getting out of their vehicles or even a helicopter in the case of William, all by themselves. Oh goodness, and when the group gets all heated because poor Meghan did not receive that crash course in being royal, I nearly chucked my cookies. Right in the beginning, Meghan gushed about her file or ledger, which she carried with her full of notes on protocol, etc. Apparently, Sarah was the one who showed her how to curtsy correctly. The Queen herself took Meghan on outings on her own, and there are many other women in the family who would have been only too willing to help. Catherine, Camilla, Sophie, and even Eugenie, whom by her own admission she met before she met Harry, and who she apparently remained friendly with. What does this panel expect? A 3-year degree in how to be royal? There is no such thing. Then they speculate that the royal family did not think that Meghan was worthy of them and in a way sabotaged poor Meghan. What utter BS. Meghan got invited to Sandringham before the wedding, something which has never happened before. Catherine was not ever invited to spend Christmas before marrying William. Charles walked Meghan down the aisle. So many rules and protocols were broken or changed to accommodate Meghan that for this group of people to say this just shows utter ignorance and a lack of research. And I think it is appalling to produce something like this and put it out in the public domain without at least the minimum of effort. I think what got to me even more was when the group started on Meghan's family and Mr. Markle in particular. According to the panel, Meghan became this big star and Mr. Markle was bitten by the fame bug. What utter rubbish. These people don't even know that the only time Meghan had walked down the red carpet at a film and TV awards ceremony was when she accompanied her father to the Emmys, where he won an award for his lighting skills and design. And that is where the fame bug bit Meghan, and not the other way around. The panel really goes overboard, saying Samantha is off the rails and Mr. Markle is trashy and sold out his daughter. Excuse me. No one ever caught Samantha out on a lie. Whatever Samantha said over the past 4 years have either been true or was proven to be true a little later. As for Mr. Markle, if he would have received all the money for each interview and shoot these people are saying he did, then why is he still living in Rosarito in a flat and not in a mansion with at least one or two servants? Then, to make it even more disgusting, the panel states as a fact that Mr. Markle was disinvited from the wedding and he played it as if he had a heart attack. Seriously? Last I heard, Mr. Markle had proof that he was in hospital at the time, and I honestly do not think anyone would go so far as to fabricate such a serious health incident. I think this is utterly disgusting, and unless these people can prove it was a lie, this is defamatory to the worst degree. Oh my gosh, and then one of them actually said Meghan lost her own family and wasn't embraced by her new family. Yes, you heard me right. Meghan's mother, father, sister, and brother are still alive. Yet Meghan is the one who ghosted her father and not even willing to let bygones be bygones when her father was in hospital, only a few miles from her home after having a stroke. It is Meghan who has not contacted him since and while he is recuperating. They talk about Meghan's letter to her father and him selling it to the press, but does not mention at all, not once, that she exposed and discussed the contents with her friends who talked about it to the press and which resulted in a scathing article in a magazine. So, according to these people on this panel, Mr. Markle does not have the right at all to defend himself and provide receipts. How disgustingly defamatory and unfair. Oh, and then there is the not so humble opinion that the reason why Meghan agreed to the baby shower in New York was because she was fed up with the royal family and the way she was treated. Really? How was she treated? She got a lovely, renovated home, $1 million clothing budget, free trips overseas. So what about that? Still not enough for Meghan, so out of spite, she agreed to a baby shower in New York? Really? This is delusional and it is fantastical and disgusting. Oh my word. And then they spin the story about Meghan's suicidal thoughts. I cannot believe that an adult man like Harvey Levin can believe, even for a minute, that that was true. All he needed to do was to watch the film of the event that night. Harry looked pale and like he was about to vomit, but Meghan's makeup was perfect and she was all smiles. Now look, I would not be surprised if she said to Harry that she could not stand it anymore and would commit suicide if this or that did not happen. But did she look or act like she meant it? Not for a minute. Instead, I think, if it was said at all, it was part of her manipulation and ultimate goal to return to the United States. Harvey Levin then even takes it further and dramatizes how she begged for help from the royal family but was denied it. Bullshit. Anyone with a brain or who have ever read about the royal family knows that Harry started heads together with William and Catherine. Harry had seen a psychiatrist before he even met Meghan, as did both his parents. How or why on earth would Meghan be denied help? She need not even have consulted anyone in the royal family. She could merely have asked her husband for a referral. She could have asked her obstetrician gynecologist during one of her monthly visits. Or didn't she have any? This is just juvenile and ridiculous, and I cannot understand how any normal thinking adult cannot think that far. Of course, they discussed the Oprah interview, but I'm not even going to go into that because, at the very least, the various people on the panel did not all agree on everything that was said in the Oprah interview, so thank goodness for that. At the very least, one of the panel members feels that Harry and Meghan should not care about the titles anymore, either for themselves or the children, and that they do not have a dog in the fight anymore as far as it goes in the royal family. There is at least that, but overall, this was a discussion filled with misinformation, with libel and defamation, and I have no idea how the royal family can just sit back and let it slide, let it go. King Charles needs to realize that it is not only Harry who needs to be protected, but also his other son, William. One of these days, William will be going to the United States for Earthshot. How will he be received with this kind of drivel being put out in the United States? The royal family needs to give a rebuttal on this, and the royal family needs to put distance between the Harkles and the monarchy. Please note, I'm saying the monarchy and not the family. But it needs to be done post haste. Meghan is not done with them yet and will not be done with them unless or until she gets cut off at the knees once and for all. And no, giving in to her demands or all those olive branches are not going to work, as Meghan will never be satisfied. Once you think you have given her what she wants, she will just want more the next day and more the day after. Meghan is the type of person who is not satisfied with herself, and therefore she will try to fill the emptiness in herself with earthly goods and more demands. Okay, this was a long one. I'm making up for the days that I haven't been on here. Okay, guys and girls, there's obviously still a lot more, but I'm hoping to see you all over the weekend. So until then, please take good care of yourselves. Bye.